So there's a difference there. When we get to energy, Mark Schauer supported cap and trade against his district, against the agricultural manufacturing sector of this district, and against citizens who will suffer the increased cost of energy by having a cap and trade, cap and tax proposal put in place that will discourage the development of energy, even new sources of energy. Be prohibitive, as opposed to going to an all of the above energy plan like I introduced when I was in Congress that said, yeah, let's give incentive for developing new age energy sources and proponents. Let's encourage biofuels. Let's encourage wind and solar. Make sure that we put a cap on the amount of encouragement we give and how long. Let's make sure that it produces. But sure, let's encourage that. Let's encourage hydrogen. Let's encourage all sorts of things. But let's also encourage the use of the traditional sources, including petroleum-based energy sources, oil, natural gas. Let's talk about coal and clean coal technology. Let's talk about nuclear power. Let's do what France does, and does it safely and environmentally sound. All of those buzzwords that are important to us, but should not stand in the way of being independent from the rest of the world on our energy. And the fact that we cannot produce the fuel necessary for the new age of fighter jets for our country. It's coal-based fuel, liquefied coal. We can't produce that because of environmental regulations. So we've got to buy it from Saudi Arabia and other places. What does that say about our defense capabilities if they turn against us? Not a good deal in my book. So that's why I proposed and would go back and sign on to the bill if someone else has taken it, or take it all over again and fight for that issue to be brought forward for a vote in Congress. So those are things that Mark and I would be very much different on. He would love to have a candidate that he can talk about perception. It's just moved in the district and trying to buy a seat in Congress, or you name it, as opposed to saying, this is the record. Your record versus my record. Now let's talk about it. Let the people decide. So we're very encouraged about where we're at now. 3 weeks out, we could certainly use any help that you could supply to us. I think we have yard signs here. You don't miss your, they're out here. You don't miss your driveway if you have one of my yard signs there. Unless you're in some areas where there's so many of them, you have to make a careful choice of which driveway you pull into. But we have those available. We have 4x4 signs. If you have a good spot where you'd like a larger sign put up on a key highway, we'd love to plant those for you as well. We have literature here, bumper stickers. It's nothing like seeing a bumper sticker to encourage me. Ah, there's one of mine. But I think on the other side, it also says the Mark Schauer. We're coming after you as citizens. We're going to change government. We're going to change approach. We're going to go back to tried and true methods that have worked since the inception of our country, called freedom, called capitalism, called individual choice and responsibility, and call it giving citizens control, not big government. I like that fresh new idea that Jefferson and Adams and Washington all thought was a great idea too. It seemed to work. You know, I asked some people about the environmental issue, for instance. Okay, you want to save this fuel for the future. You want to conserve it. For who? What generation are you going to allow it to be used for? On the issue of freedom, if you want to bring society and redistribute wealth and all of this, when is the wealth redistributed appropriately, and then where are we going from there and build on what this nation really is? Those are questions I think we ought to be asking politicians. And I don't think they have answers for it, other than we'll decide. That doesn't comfort me. Before I open it up for questions, let me pull this, and some of you have been in meetings with me before, not the least of which being my wife and Rachel. I generally pull this brain on my hip off my hip, otherwise known as a BlackBerry, and go to a section where I keep a number of things that are important for me to occasionally pull out and look at. And one section I have here is what I will read to you. I could quote it from memory, that's for sure. But I do it as an object lesson, so at any point in time, should you give me the privilege to represent you again in Congress, and you start to hear some things from me or see a vote or two that they're coming up, and you begin to wonder, what's happening? You know the old saw that says, boy, these candidates, they all sound so good, and then we elect them. What happens?